Your fourth video that will allow you to revise, helping you towards that 2024 exams is, imagine a question comes up this year on Chile, or just in general, effects of an earthquake. So your example is obviously Chile. Just a bit of background on this earthquake. It was obviously very destructive in terms of actual impact. It was 8.8 in terms of the Richter scale. It was on a destructive plate boundary here with the Nazca and the South American plate. And we need to know some primary and secondary effects. You just need to know a couple primary and secondary effects and explain them. The first one is the most easiest one to talk about, is obviously homes being destroyed. Now, as soon as you mention that, as you can see, there's a blank word there. You know, knowing some stats really helps. So over 220,000 homes were destroyed. Make sure you write that down in your worksheet. But again, how would you explain that? You could easily talk about how it led to thousands of people becoming homeless, staying in homeless shelters. Many of those people, had to stay in these homeless shelters that were already overcrowded, where disease was quite high amongst them. Again, another primary effect that is so easy to explain. As you can see this photo, the earthquake led to ports to be destroyed. How would I explain that? Obviously, talk about how trade was affected, which meant many jobs and businesses were lost. Again, how many ports were destroyed? Try and write this down on your worksheet. It was about 53 ports were destroyed. But that obviously affected how much aid could also come into the country, which impacted people. Now, when explaining the primary effects, you're obviously going to naturally link it to the secondary effects. But here are some secondary effects on its own. For example, this landslide, as you can see, completely destroyed road paths and blocked road paths, which therefore limited transport, which meant people could not get to kind of like areas of safety. Aid was also blocked from reaching really badly hit areas. Another secondary effect, again, is, as you can see in this photo and the missing words, a huge fire broke out, obviously, at a chemical plant. Now, obviously, that will lead to so many other problems. For example, let's say air pollution, loss of life. Businesses were also affected. For example, this chemical plant. General rule of thumb, which is, when you're talking about these effects, make sure you use a bit of social ones, economic ones, and even environmental ones. You could talk about the ones we spoke about, or generally, let's say hospitals and schools were destroyed, you'd get marks for them. You could talk about, let's say, how ports obviously were destroyed. That's more economic. And obviously environmental, you could talk about landslides, destruction of habitats and trees.